This is breaking the law. But what is it? Watch to find out. So the other day I was listening to Motorhome Matt's podcast and something struck me. Lots of people in the UK are going to be breaking the law when they take their vans away this year. Let me explain more. So about a year and a half ago, the government decided to change the law on licensing. So up until 1997, and if you're a little bit older and had grandfather rights, you got B plus E on your license. But this changed. In 1997, you then lost that. So younger people, well not that young, but younger people like me, lost that ability to tow a caravan and a trailer, particularly a heavier caravan, which meant that you could only tow it combined between your car and your caravan 3.5 tons. And if it was over that, you had to do an extra test. So what this meant was that you couldn't have a heavier caravan and a heavy car. That wouldn't be allowed. You'd have to do an extra test called the B plus E, which tonight I did. It cost about £1,000. Now, what the government decided to do to try and get more people or less people that have to go through the test centres and therefore more HGVs was to give everybody B plus E. So that meant that if you paid for your licence, you were a bit aggrieved because you spent about £1,000 getting it, and then everybody just got it. But here's the thing, that might mean what you're going to do in the summer actually illegal. The reason for this is if you got your B plus E just given to you by the government, not grandfather rights, the more modern version, if you got that in that way and you didn't take your B plus E test, when you go into Europe, you are breaking the law because Europe doesn't recognise that people automatically get their B plus E. Europe says you have to take an extra test. So if you intend to take your caravan and your car across to Europe and you haven't done a B plus E and you don't have grandfather rights, if you are stopped by the police, they have the right to fine you. Now they have the right to fine you in several respects. 1, you don't have the right licence. 2, because you don't have the right licence, your insurance is also invalid, so you're not driving with valid insurance as well. And there could be other mitigations. So if you are thinking, oh, do what I'll do this summer, I'll take my family away, I'll take my big caravan and my car to Europe, then you need to stop and think about the consequences because you don't have insurance anymore and you don't have a valid licence to drive in Europe. So even though you were given that, because we have now broken away from the EU as part of Brexit, what that says that you can only use that extra B plus E entitlement actually in England and Wales and Scotland. In fact, if you go into Northern Ireland, you also can't take your caravan across there if you have the newer B plus E given to you. And you might think, well, how do they know this? Well, the police over in other countries will know this because they'll look at the date it was given. They know that anybody after 1997 won't have that, and they know that the UK law came, like I said, a year and a half ago. So they'll just be at the spot on your licence that you have B plus E, but that B plus E doesn't actually work in Europe. Now, there's a few interesting things that are coming up with licence laws on the EU side. Let's talk about that. The EU is looking at changing its laws as well. Now, this actually applies in a different way kind of to motorhomes or heavier vans, because they're thinking about upping their limit from 3.5 tonnes to 4.25 tonnes, which the UK has already done, but only for vehicles that are electric or not normal diesel or petrol. But the EU is thinking about that along with other regulations that they're thinking about having into their law, which they might consider the idea of allowing people to drive a caravan. But let it be known, if you drive to Europe and you have the new B plus E, but you didn't actually take a test or don't have grandfather rights, you are driving illegally. And therefore, like I said, you have no insurance, and you will get stopped by the police, and that could be a big risk for you. So comment down below, is that a possible thing that you're going to do? And what are you going to do about that? Are you going to cancel your holiday? Are you going to just risk it for a biscuit and hope you don't get pulled? But let it be known that you are driving illegally in Europe if you've got an over 3.5 tonne combination and you didn't get your B plus E by taking the test. You got it given by the government in the new rules. That is not seen at all by the EU. It doesn't exist to them. So watch out and stay safe on there.